Well, either way, it's on the face of it, it is a little bit like petty.
Also, you give him the pen, he still gets second, so it doesn't really
I
matter.
know.
I think it's a pen for me.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Over here, and welcome back to the Pit Lane Podcast, episode number 92 today, to review the German Grand Prix, which was a very, very interesting German Grand Prix, and we'll get into the details in a bit, but back to your usual hosts, myself, Arav, Callum, and Tom. Guys, overall thoughts of the Grand Prix before we get into probably easier team by team, because there's a lot to dissect there. It's a very hectic for once, rain involved race, but overall feelings from that German Grand Prix, pretty good one.
We're on a bit of a streak of good races, and it's quite nice to see. And the fact that the rain had finally come, like the amount of times this season we've been like, oh, the rain's come in.
Huh.
And, well, it still came. It still came, and it still affected the result
classic,
in a major way.
There's still that classic, as soon as the race ended, it then started pouring down.
Exactly,
but also, Tom, you tweeted a photo of like the rain coming down off the top of the garage, like from the Ferrari view, and that looked to the point where it definitely would have been a red flag. So I'm almost kind of happy when you get the full force of the rain. But
enjoyable race.
Enjoyable one.
Start to finish, bit of everything, bit of rain. Different strategies, different tyre compounds, drama, and another twist in the championship battle. So
well, we'll get straight into that twist then. So, because we're going to start off with Mercedes, the top team at the German Grand Prix. 1-2, Hamilton, Bottas. So, Vettel did it in Hamilton's backyard. Hamilton done it in Vettel's backyard. Mercedes obviously did it in their own second yard, technically, for the 1-2. Obviously, Hamilton starting from 15 or 14?
14, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long while since we've seen a comeback drive from that far down to actually get to the win. And you got to say, just kudos to the perseverance from Hamilton. That's kind of my looking at it. Is obviously he was quite downbeat yesterday I say yesterday, we're recording this on Sunday, but on Saturday in quali, he was very downbeat. You know, I don't know, part of me thought, oh, he's lost his head quite a few times this season, so I don't know how his head's going to be in this space. Even Rosberg on the Sky commentary said that his body language was very different this time round on that quali Saturday to when he used to race him. So I had kind of question marks myself, but he came out in composure and just, well, the cards fell for him, per se.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, minus all the penalty stuff and all of the Saturday stuff, you've still got to put it into perspective that a guy who started in P14 won the race, and that is a brilliant spectacle off the back of, we've had maybe one too many races where people have just started on pole and just led the whole race and won it. So with the fact that none of us would have probably put money on Hamilton winning, really, even with the hope of rain, because with Ferrari being so far ahead in terms of, I think they were pulling 3/10 down that straight. With the step up that they've made with their engine, you would have easily have put your money on Ferrari to win this race. And I've noticed a pattern occurring that the car that's the quickest isn't capitalising at the moment. Because Mercedes didn't capitalise at the start of the season when they were the quickest. True. And Ferrari at the minute, they're not capitalised. Well, they definitely didn't capitalise that race where their advantage looked the biggest.
I don't really know what to say. Not really much more to add, really. Just a great race. Mercedes. 1-2, fair play. That's not what to say, really.
You're hovering. Go. Let's get to the point.
Look, to be fair, Merck didn't do actually much in that race in terms of, like, Hamilton. Yes, he came through.
Hamilton made the moves, but no one put up a defence. So like, really, it was only the from classic onwards.
It was the classic, bigger team coming through. Bottas tried to fight the Ferraris. He literally did not actually have the pace. So we're also kind of doing half a preview of Hungary right at the end for predictions. And going into that, I think Ferrari can still be pretty happy going to Hungary in terms of, it looks like they have a very good package. And Hungary is usually a Ferrari circuit because Bottas had nothing there. And even with Ferrari's little tangle on team orders earlier on the race, they still would have pulled through if it weren't for what happened then with the rain. And we'll get to that then. So obviously the rain came down. Sebastian Vettel, as he put it, small mistake, big cost. He was very emotional on the team radio, but then afterwards he surprised me, and I was very impressed that once again he was the cool head on those cool shoulders as he has been this season pretty much, and he seemed pretty calm for a man who lost his home Grand Prix by after leading by a mile and feeling pretty comfortable the entire race. Did not put a foot wrong, really.
It's rare to see Vettel make a mistake like that. Like, the last time he crashed himself out of a Grand Prix was way back in 2015.
Mexico?
In Mexico, yeah, during the race. But
Yeah.
and with the conditions in Germany, you got to say that it's probably an easy mistake to make, bearing in mind we got to a point where there was cars backwards non-stop. So the fact that one of the front runners put it in the wall wasn't a huge surprise.
It was chaos. Yeah.
Probably the most amount of emotion I think I've seen Vettel display.
Yeah, I was very surprised,
in his
but
career.
it kind of shows how much it meant to him because he's never won at Germany, I think. So, yeah, it
I think
meant
it
great deal.
boils down to that might be the last chance he ever gets to win a German Grand Prix.
Yeah,
Because
especially if
there's a
it goes
very
off
there's
the
a very
calendar.
good chance
Yeah.
there won't be a
Oh wait,
German
sorry.
Grand Prix anytime soon.
Correction, he won the 2013 one, I think.
Yeah,
Correction,
he won
yeah.
Nürburgring, I think.
Yeah, he won.
No, but
Nürburgring.
Hockenheim, I mean, that's
Yeah,
the one
Hockenheim
that's
for him.
more home.
Yeah, for him it's closer to home. Yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to get a chance to win it now because I mean he is 30, 31, and that is apparently, according to the rumor, it's not showing any signs of coming back onto the calendar. So
Maybe.
that
I think
might be
I'm
his last chance.
seeing a few tweets from the Paddock Insiders just literally now, like an hour ago. We're recording this at like 8 p.m. on a Sunday. Like an hour ago, after the Hamilton penalty thing got sorted, a few little tweets saying there were some talks and like some rumors around the paddock this weekend. So we'll see. But yeah, I think there's a better chance it doesn't come back, unfortunately.
I mean, he'd only ever led 3 laps around that circuit before this.
Well, yeah,
last day.
within 6
laps.
laps, he doubled it. So
So it goes to show. But yeah, just happened. Things that happen. I think Brundle said it. He locked up the rears. You lock up the rears in these conditions, and it's hard enough in the dry, let alone in the wet. So yeah, you could just see he just broke a little bit too late from the onboard. He sort of didn't really turn for the corner, then locked the rears, and you can see because he tried to save, but the gravel was so wet, he just went straight into the wall. If that'd been the dry, he might be able maybe to drive through the gravel, but because of the wetness, he just sort of just was not.
I think he definitely would have saved it in the
so,
dry.
Very unlucky, but it happens. To be fair, personally, I saw it coming in a way because like when we talk about retirements in the championship, when Hamilton retired at Austria, these things always tend to get more or less, give or take, even themselves out. So
Yeah.
we're back to square one now, essentially.
Yeah,
So
that's the brilliant part, isn't it, with the championship, is the fact that it swung again. It's mental how much it keeps swinging, and like I lost my shit, not as a Hamilton fan when he put it in the wall, just the fact that he'd put it in the wall, because it's rare to see it anyway, and the fact that he was leading, the fact that we're in this incredible championship battle, and he'd put it in the wall, especially in that stadium
chaos
as well.
I
Yeah, and
personally-
within it all, it was just so emotional, that race, you couldn't get your head around it. There was just so much cracking off.
it didn't 100% surprise me in Bindit. I think he was really struggling with tyres. Ferrari were waiting for that rain. I think they messed up their strategy pretty badly today. And I think Vettel as well, that front wing damage he got, that massive chunk of, like, literally he lost the entire left side of his front wing pretty much. That would have affected him as well. So,
Well,
I think all in all, Ferrari sort of messed it up today. I think strategy-wise, they just were miles away.
What was cracking off with that Raikkonen situation really confused me.
I don't think so. I think,
I think they just took too long. They should have
You should have done it instantly.
they should have been a bit colder and cold-hearted. I feel like they just hesitated due to the fact that they themselves had backlash in the past. But like we'll get to with the Patreon question later on, it's pretty commonplace now these days in F1 for the top teams just to be like, right, this is the championship, just swap it, lads.
I think with today, Ferrari did the strategy perfect with Kimi. They should have just put on the medium instead of the soft, knowing they had the tyre where they had, knowing they were looking for the rain. And then also with Vettel, they should have just pit him the lap after Kimi, and they wouldn't have had the problem in the first place, and also put him on the medium. And I'm sure Ferrari were probably a little bit quicker this weekend, so they could have easily maybe got away with the medium and try to make it work. And covered their bases more. I think they had a lot of tyre wear this weekend. Ferrari surprised me. Definitely the worst out of the top 3 teams. It sort of swung a bit now. Mercedes now are really good on their tyres. I do have a thought in closing regarding Ferrari and Mercedes. Interesting-ish in a way. A bit of backlash again about the team orders applied here. Seeing how Mercedes gave it, it's more of a question I'm posing to you two. The way Mercedes put orders towards Bottas at the end for not passing Hamilton, does that sort of make you think should maybe Ferrari have done that at Austria and let Vettel pass Raikkonen?
No, because of the reasoning Toto Wolff gave for the team order this time. Toto Wolff explained, well, that's what he's saying. You can agree or not. But Wolff was like, so since we had the Austria blunder, we had also Silverstone, we lost good points. They were kind of like, we've got a 1-2 here, a lot of points to make up on Ferrari. No, and it was raining. The safety car restarts. Of course, Bottas wanted to attack, but due to the conditions of it's raining, the situation, you've got Ferrari right behind us, also Verstappen right there. Let's just hold it. And he was adamant that if it was the other way around, they still would have held because they just wanted to keep the 1-2 and didn't want any kind of chance of someone pushing too hard and going off circuit like Kimi did when they were in that traffic and he tried to overtake a Haas, instead locked up, went wide, and Bottas, that's how he got him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've always trusted Wolf in what he said. I don't think, I don't at least question his character, so I would agree with that. And I think Bottas will get a win eventually. I think Mercedes will pay it back at some point, I think. Hopefully.
Also, just like to almost counter the question, has the team orders been blown out of proportion, especially on the Mercedes side, just because it was Hamilton leading?
Yes.
Would
definitely.
it be the other way around?
I think Twitter's reaction definitely blew out the water just because it was
Twitter
Hamilton.
exaggerates everything.
Just because Hamilton was the one leading. And in terms of
They
Ferrari,
did have a battle as well, though. Like, let's not ignore that.
yeah, they did
Like,
have a
they
little
still had a
battle. But I
brilliant
think that was
little
the thing that Wolf. I think the way he worded his interview, I think it literally sounded like as soon as they started having that battle, everyone was kind of cringing, like, "Oh God, no, please, just calm this down."
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Obviously, yeah. You would definitely be like.
no,
going like,
do you know that kink after the hairpin?
Yeah, yeah.
Like and you know, usually the guy behind backs out, and Bottas didn't. I was like, oh my fucking god, they're gonna crash. I was waiting for them to come together, just waiting for it.
The second question I pose is, with the whole Ferrari, should they have switched Vettel earlier with Kimi?
Yeah.
Do you reckon there was some, maybe inside the team, some thoughts of, are we going to piss people off using the
Yeah,
team
no,
orders?
fully. I think that's why it took so long. But
Because I think if they'd switched them straight away, Vettel might have not ended up in the gravel with some better tyres potentially.
maybe, yeah. That's
Yeah.
it's
The
a
amount of
long,
laps
it's,
he
a-
was behind him.
It's
quite-
quite
that was-
hard to draw a correlation between
that was quite
those two
early
things,
in the
but-
race, yeah. So it's hard to tell. But away from that, I think they just should have switched it earlier anyway, just for the sake of Vettel was like pulling away so much faster after he'd done it that they could have just pulled a more comfortable gap for him to work with later.
Well, at that point, Raikkonen was pretty much set in stone on the two-stop. Pretty much, like if the
minus
rain
the
didn't
rain.
come
Yeah, the
down,
rain
he
didn't
would
come,
have
he
been
was on a two-stop.
forced into a two-stop. So why would you have the two cars affect each other's strategies when they're on different strategies?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
Like, it just didn't
completely
make any sense.
Messed up. They were 50-50, not sure whether to commit to a full 1 and 2 stop dry race strategy or they were pending on rain. They just
Yeah.
didn't know. They
I
were
think
lost at sea.
they were caught in the middle, unlike Mercedes, which I think, fair play to Mercedes actually, because after the strategy blunders they've made, the strategy they did with Hamilton was pretty much nailed.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get caught rain watching, unlike I think it was Gasly who was the only one who hadn't pit. It was Hamilton and Gasly that hadn't pit, and then Mercedes pit Hamilton.
It would have been Gasly, and unfortunately, actually, I said this in my top 5 moment, but it was really unfortunate Ricciardo actually retired, because he would have been in a really good spot to also
on the
not rain
mediums.
watch. He would have just kept on going and going until the rain came.
Yeah, and even if the rain didn't come, he'd been on fresh ultras at the end.
Exactly,
And we saw
so-
how good even older ultras on Hamilton's car was after the restart. So
Yeah, but Red Bull
Ricciardo would have
didn't
been right
really-
there.
Red Bull didn't really have the pace on the restart though. That was completely
No.
bone dry.
Well, we thought it'd be a lot wetter than before. But
Yeah.
before we, I suppose the one thing we do have to talk about before we wrap up Mercedes and Ferrari, like we can pretty much sum it up as it's been a good race because the championship has swung again, and we've had a decent amount of battling between the four of them. But the whole Hamilton penalty situation, I'm not really going to comment on it much because people are just going to point at bias towards me. But I think Arav is probably the least biased person here when it comes to it. What do you think?
I think they've looked at it and they've just thought, yeah, okay, he didn't break a technical rule, because I'm sure isn't a technical rule what he did wrong. Like, it wasn't actually a
No,
rule.
they said he broke the rule that you cannot cross the
There was
white
an
line,
infringement.
which is like he completely broke the rule, but they just gave him a slap on the wrist.
Right. I think that's fine, because to me that rule, I feel like it shouldn't apply at circuits where it's like Hockenheim, where it's like the pit entry isn't that dangerous. Like, it's actually away from, like, Baku, it made sense.
Yeah.
Why you couldn't do
can we
that.
comment on Baku? Because a lot of people were pointing that out on Twitter.
Yeah,
If anyone
Baku's
doesn't know-
different because Baku's pit lane is very dangerous.
Baku
because
2016, Raikkonen
it's,
got
the
a
pit lane
penalty.
entry is part of the track, basically,
Yeah.
so it's very bad.
To be
but,
fair though, Kimi wasn't even attempting to go into the pit lane. He was just stealing some toe.
but the thing
going
is,
along the
I've
straight.
seen what Hamilton said to the stewards about he was honestly just so confused that Bono was like, come in, and he saw Bottas ahead of him and thought, no, I want to stay out, and started turning left over the
It's because
grass.
of Kimi as well. Kimi stayed out.
Yeah, and then he was going across the grass, and he was making sure, right, okay, where's Kimi? And as he came back on the circuit, because the team radio was a little bit out of sync, as he came back on the circuit, that's when Bono was then like, go left, go right, and then he got confused, like, oh, wait, you're already on track. Okay, fine, cool.
They've released an in-sync one, I think. They've released a new one. And you can see how last minute it was.
I think it's fine. It's one of those like confusion ones where it's like, you know, that's why you almost like the sport. You know, when it's raining like that, there's so much confusion, so much panic that mistakes like that happen where you have to cut a little bit here, or like you make a mistake and like Perez spin in the car, or Vettel go off. Hamilton's mistake was he went to the pit for like literally 2 seconds in his car and came back out over the grass. And obviously we've seen people do it in the past. Kimi at Hungary, I think, what was it? Or,
Sebastian's done it at Hungary.
Not Hungary. I'm thinking about Nürburgring. There we go. The other ring.
Done it as well. The other way around, yeah. But either way, it's on the face of it, it is a little bit like petty. It's like, I know it's for safety reasons, but under safety car conditions.
Also, you give him the pen, he still gets second, so it doesn't really matter.
I know,
so much.
but deciding the result on that is a bit stupid. But like the way that Twitter handled it was like completely. Like, obviously, people saw the Baku thing and was like, "Oh, what about this though?" And then I purposely went to go find the director's notes, the event notes, so it's specific for each Grand Prix, and said any driver that puts all 4 wheels inside the white line must commit to the pit lane and stuff like that. And people just throwing it about, and the way that people treated it was a bit.
I'm just like, let it fly.
Toxic, very, very toxic.
Let it fly.
That's why I don't want to speak about it too much.
I just say let it fly, and this is coming for someone who, because I was like GG for Vettel's win at Silverstone. Someone tweeted me saying I'm like sucking up to Vettel. I'm a Vettel fan. So coming from someone who's been called that, I'd say let it fly on the penalty thing. Hamilton, he got the win. Fair, like he made a little mistake. That happens in the rain. Everyone makes mistakes in the rain.
And
so we're gonna move on then.
Just Tom, I know you wanted to say like 2 words.
I think it's a pen for me.
You think it's a pen?
Yeah, just because simply people complain, and that people are very arsey, whether it's in favour of Hamilton, in favour of Vettel, whatever camp you're in, about the rules being grey. If you want to make it black or white, you apply the rule. He broke the rule, you penalise him. That's the only way you're going to get the rules to be black and white. If not, then fine. Your driver might have gained the benefit of a grey decision, but the rule will remain grey, because the next person that does it can say, well, Hamilton got away with it last time, so why can't I?
Yeah.
That's why I think also
it's repeated plenty of times in history.
This is nothing to do with me and who I support. People complain about the amount of bitching and moaning this season about FIA decisions, 5-second penalties here and there, all this sort of stuff, and all this clarification rubbish. The one chance you get it, and the rule clearly states, and Hamilton, they said in the statement he broke it, you've got a chance there to clearly differentiate black or white, and you make it grey. So that's all and Mercedes still would have had a 1-2, and personally I would have liked to have seen Bottas win, just saying. So
well, give me a good feel for Bottas. Stewards have a tough job, because there's just the word of context in every single scenario.
Yeah, the problem is
but that's enough.
No situation's the same.
That's enough. Twitter's already thrown enough salt over it. I just don't. Also, as the neutral, I just don't give a shit actually. So it was right. two silver arrows still came 1 and 2. That's good enough for me in terms of the championship swinging back and forth. So we'll move on. Red Bull had a very quiet race. I'm going to be honest. There's not much to talk about Red Bull. Verstappen, they tried something in the winters, didn't go right.
Strategy.
On that note, I just want to fast forward to. What on earth were Toro Rosso thinking and Gasly with? Let's stick the full wets on, lads.
When I saw
that, they were last, Toro Rosso. They were so poor this weekend. Like they literally were just that downpour we got after the race. That's what they were basically hoping would have occurred. And in that case, they would have hit the jackpot, but it didn't happen. So
I couldn't believe that. When I saw, I was like, "What on earth? Like, are we watching the same race here?"
He's gone from
these are intelligent people. And they've made a very unintelligent call.
Toro Rosso desynced. They're in a different lobby, and they just desynced, and they had full rain.
I genuinely don't think it's that bad of a decision. Oh no, he was 19th.
He went for a gamble. It just didn't pay off. But
he wasn't going to lose. He was going to lose a place to Van Dorn.
Van
nothing
Dorn
to
as well
lose.
came back from the dead. He retired effectively and
Yeah,
came back into the race. That was
yeah.
amazing. That was amazing. I love that. But
Also, just like quick shout out to Ricardo because he is becoming the unlucky. Like we can joke as much as who gets the most luck and who's the most unlucky driver. I think it's got to be Ricardo at the minute because he takes a brand new engine to then set up next weekend. Does some brilliant overtaking on a
fails.
tyre that's pretty awful, and then it still
And it fails.
fails.
He's got to take another one to Hungary.
has
So,
he?
yeah. I think, or he's out of engine, so I'll be surprised if
I think they said
somehow
this
recover
one would
that.
still be fine
If they can
I
fix
don't
it,
know.
because
fair enough,
it's like the Monaco one. They fixed the Monaco one.
I'm just saying they've got a week to turn it around, so you know,
Yeah, I get
I'm
it,
sure
true,
I'm sure they can do it. So fair
We'll
play to
see.
them.
We'll see. Yeah, but that's pretty much Red Bull. Very quiet weekend. Max said it best on Instagram. He just said we got the best we could get. They tried to gamble, didn't pay off, but in the end they still got P4 anyway. So. Renault, Hulkenberg, P5, good on, son. One German came away happy at least from the German Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Best in the rest in the championship.
Oh, is he now?
That's
Well, he
what
already
I wanna
was.
say.
He already was.
Oh yeah.
No, but he's solidifying that now. And for me, I think I think he's been class. I think he's been phenomenal. He's had a couple of dips with Sainz, but yet Sainz still isn't in the top 10 in the championship. I think Hulkenberg's just been so good this year. Again,
Sainz has. He's
today
outraged
was
in
that
this,
day
yeah.
where if that rain had been a little bit more aggressive, not to the extent where how it ended in the race. Hulkenberg was the first man on Inters in P5 under that safety car and the top 4 on the Ultras.
Well, yeah, there was that point.
If that
where-
rain had just come down a bit more, that might have been
There
Hulkenberg's
was
chance
that-
for a first ever
Yeah,
podium.
there was that point where it's kind of like, okay, he's the only one in Inters now. Just rain a bit
Yeah.
more, he'll be in first.
It was. To be fair, shout out to Hulkenberg and pretty much the whole midfield. Because did you see the like the tracker of like positions, the line graph?
Well,
of
yeah,
every-
yeah.
Did you see the middle of that graph?
It's a cluster.
It's
It's clusterfuck.
clusterfuck. Like it's
It's
literally
so
like
bad.
it's like you trying to get a pen to work.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just scribbling because
fully. Yeah,
the
literally,
way
it's
the
that.
drivers came back through the field. I know Hulkenberg had to make up a few positions.
Well, the entire
Grosjean as
midfield,
well.
yeah. I mean, we'll go into the midfield. Basically, the entire midfield
Yeah.
was fighting left, right, and centre. Grosjean came up in P6. The Force Indias, even after the spin, Perez still P7, Ocon P8. He was really happy about that from P40. What was it?
Force
15,
India were
14?
nowhere at one point, so how they managed
Yeah.
to get points is beyond me.
They were really quick today though. Even Perez, he was P7 after like lap 5.
He had a bad pit stop.
Yeah, but
and
like,
spam.
if he hadn't had the bad stop, that's what I'm saying. Like Force India had a really good race pace,
Mm.
really
Yeah.
good pace.
I think the
And
back straights would have helped them, definitely.
yeah, well,
and
Perez
then-
still got Q3. Can't forget, Perez qualified 10th.
Yeah, yeah,
Ocon
he did.
was unlucky. He got 18th.
Perez pulled
but-
out of the bag. He was very happy with that on Saturday. Ericsson P9, fair play to him, just trundled
Fair play.
along. He wasn't.
He was going for it, man.
He was a lot
He
further
was
back than
going for it at
Leclerc at the
times.
start of the race. So to come all the way through to 9th, good job. I mean,
He went for that dive up the inside of Ocon at the hairpin. Did you see from miles back?
yeah.
He was in the war slave. Fair play to him. He was getting stuck
Yeah,
in.
He
So,
got the elbows out, and then Hartley
fair play.
managed to pull on to P8, P10. Sainz with the
Oh.
penalty.
Yeah, fair play.
So yeah, I mean his first points in a while, and obviously he's had a lot of bad luck. So I think it's a good feel story for him because yeah, he really has been punched a lot in that Toro Rosso car.
And he doubled his points.
yeah.
Go on, that lad. No, it's nice to see because the amount of bad
Yeah.
luck he's had, it's so nice to see it get rewarded. Even though the penalty did kind of play into his hands, and
Well, still.
I
He
think
needed a
in
bit of
those
that
sort
luck.
of conditions, it's every man for himself. I don't think it really matters because
Exactly.
I think it proved with Magnussen, like he finished outside the points and he looked like probably the best of the rest, fighting
Yeah.
that with Grosjean. So the fact that Hartley managed to get points is just good race management when it comes to those mental conditions. So fair
Yeah.
play to him.
I mean, he was miles ahead of Gasly even before Gasly put the full wets on. Like,
Yeah,
Hartley was quicker this weekend. I mean, he qualified behind Gasly, but he just looked better. The race pace was so much stronger from Hartley. So,
Well, yeah, he was really positive ahead of the race. He was like, "I'm confident that we can actually do something from this because
Yeah.
the pace was okay." Came out P11. We already kind of mentioned him. Like went
Gutted.
backwards basically.
he was my turbo driver. I think
Yeah,
he was
we
looking
got-
really good for P5 at one point.
He got unlucky with I think he had to stack
Bloody-
behind
bloody
Grosjean,
weather.
and it basically completely ruined him underneath the safety car. So he, to say that I think he was the leading driver of the midfield before
Yeah, he
all
was.
the rain. The fact that he came away with 11th, he must be pissed.
Yeah, he'll
like,
be annoyed.
really
He'll be
pissed.
annoyed. I think Haas again. They said it before. Like they need to start capitalising on every single time their car's actually going well.
Yeah.
And now that you had this step up with the Ferrari engine as a whole, yeah, they need to start just making sure they consistently do that. Moving on to someone who's not going forwards, McLaren. Well, Alonso apparently he retired on the last lap. and no one
because
caught it.
he was still a lap behind after the safety car, so they still let
Right.
them unlap, but he was 2
Okay.
laps down. So
Amazing. And then Van Dorn, I'm still finding that funny. He came back from the dead to actually finish 13th.
On the lead
Amazing.
lap as well.
Yeah, on the lead lap, quite amazing. But I want to just bring in, like, there was that small story that Alonso was like confirming something's wrong with Van Dorn's car fundamentally,
Embarrassing. Absolute
which
joke.
is like, right. So McLaren, do you want to get on top of that? Maybe.
This is
Just-
worse than
right.
Williams.
Yeah, like, let's just discuss this a minute. This is McLaren we're talking about here. Like, I know the past couple of years have been dodgy and they've kind of tripped over their own shoelaces a little bit, but they've got two. They've got two. They're putting 2 race cars out and they're not equal. There's one car that's underperforming against another. I've never heard
And they
anything
do
like
not
that
know,
before.
and they don't know what's wrong
I
with
don't
it.
know what it is.
They know it's wrong. They just don't know what is the problem, and that
How
is just messed up.
bizarre.
Because like
It's-
before, he was running legitimately last for a lot
Yeah, he
of
was
that
stoned
Grand
dead
Prix.
last, yeah.
And it's like,
And the last race.
and it's like he's not like Van Dorn might be bad compared to Alonso. He's not that bad. So I'm
Well, on
kind of
average,
glad
he's
that-
been
I'm
3
gonna put it
tenths
this
off
way.
in qualifying, on average, ever since
gonna-
last season.
For me, McLaren is the worst car in the grid right now. Worse than Williams. I've said
Really?
it.
Ooh.
Yeah, for me. Because
That's a tall call.
I'll give you an explanation. Qualifying alone, Alonso out-qualified Sirotkin by 45 thousandths of a second. If you put Alonso in the Williams car and you put Sirotkin in the McLaren, who would come out on top?
Yeah, but that's just
Probably
this weekend
Alonso
though.
still, yeah.
No, but I think Williams have found something in the last couple of races because they weren't trying to
I think
be
they found
last.
something
It's-
here potentially that was a
They
little.
were
They
quicker
bought
than
Luke
Toro
Ferrari.
I
Rosso,
think the acid test will be how they do next weekend now with the
Maybe.
new updates.
but they were quicker than Toro Rosso, and for me, they were definitely quicker than Van Dorn at least, and on a par-ish with Alonso. If they just had better drivers, which we know, especially
Yeah.
Stroll, who had an absolute stinker.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Watkins showing signs of actually getting pretty good.
I like him. I've
Q2.
really
I
grown
like
to
him.
him.
His attitude
All
really
his
like,
his
impressed me.
attitude is amazing.
And like yesterday qualifying P13. So what I'm saying is Williams are showing signs of revival, and for me, McLaren are not progressing at all. They're slipping back, and I think Alonso, especially after qualifying yesterday, where he was 11th, he's just again dragging that car through. But where that car should be, I think, is that the pace that car should have is more or less what Van Dorn's car and the problems he's got is what
Even
it should
still,
have.
though, like, you know, with Alonso today, I don't know, I thought he had a sloppy race. Like, I've never seen him outbrake
just
himself
rolled
so
over.
many much
Yeah,
in
yeah.
one race. So many
Always
much, so
against
many
Leclerc.
times in one race.
Yeah.
A bit of an odd race from Alonso. Like, I've never seen him make that
It
many
does hurt.
mistakes.
Like 2 races in a row, you see Hamilton just walk past him. You know, it's a shame to see just how Hamilton sort of went for that half-assed dive, and he was going to turn in, but then he turned out and just said, "Just go on, mate. Just get on with it."
Mm.
It's depressing, like a driver like that, and just not seeing him have anything to fight with. For me personally, you know, it could just be.
I
such a
mean,
big
even in
battle,
his
but-
shit Ferrari of 2014, he was still putting up fights for that. So
No, that
Yeah.
Hungary 2014 race,
Yeah.
you know, those sort of things. But it's just, it still frustrates me. And I've never really liked the guy. You know, like I said, I've made it very public. He went up against Schumacher, and for me, I would never really like a rival. But I've grown so much respect for the guy, and it's just a shame. He's 37 next week, and yet,
Jesus.
you know, like, give this man a bone, and well, give Van Dorn 2 bones.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he will be getting it anytime soon.
But McLaren are in
And
they're
then
in a deep struggle. I was watching Australia back and Bahrain back in the highlights yesterday, seeing them in like 7th or 8th on pace. I don't know what's happened.
Feels like
yeah,
a
it's
long
bad.
time ago.
It's bad. And then finally, I think Leclerc had a bit of just a rookie race. A few
He's
mistakes here
human.
and there.
He's human.
Yeah, he's
That's what-
human.
that's what we've-
But the thing is, it is his rookie season, and so that's the first sign you see of him like making some mistakes, and that's a good learning curve for him in terms of that trick condition of the rain. You know, it's good. That's all going to be now in his mind in terms of like a replay table. Like, okay, so I can learn from this. You know, next time it happens, build on it. So
Even when he spins, though, he still spins well.
in style.
In style. Like that
Back
turn
the
one
other way.
spin, that was simply beautiful.
Yeah, simply marvellous. Simply marvellous. But we're now going to move on to some Patreon questions, then we'll move on to the predictions for the Hungarian Grand Prix. This kind of plays off what we were kind of talking about before, but Rat McPhee asks about the front-running teams using team orders. Do we think the Finns, so Kimi and Bottas, will actually be allowed to win a race this season? Will they be able to go for it? I
No.
personally think Bottas will at some point.
Bottas will.
I don't think Kimi will.
I don't think Bottas is anymore.
Wait, hold on. Let's put it straight. Are we saying that like Hamilton will let Bottas through, or will be allowed
Will
to
they
overtake Hamilton,
they-
or
will
No.
Will they be
Bottas just
allowed to
win
go for a win?
overall?
I think the contracts that were signed this week in Mercedes, the way Bottas took the order today, I think something's changed. And I think for the rest of the season,
Mystic Meg
you will
over here.
not see Bottas or right. No, because the way he took the order so well when he was clearly faster.
It's because he does his fucking job, unlike others sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, he's had 5 second places this season. That was such a good chance for him to win it.
Yeah.
And the team were like,
I
no,
mean, to be
hold
fair though,
up.
do you know today was a bit like odd because, I
It
mean, he
stank
did
to me.
try and go for Hamilton, but then he made that mistake going into the stadium, dropped about a second and a half back, but then he still didn't really make any inroads. Like I think even when you're given a team order, I think it's like throwback to I can't remember what year it was. You know when the Red Bulls were given team orders, it was with Vettel and Webber, and Webber was so far up Vettel's arse, like he was almost overtaking him, but not overtaking him. It might have been 2011, I think it was. Like Bottas still never got that close, so I don't know whether or not Hamilton was just genuinely quicker, or Bottas was told to turn his engine down lower than Hamilton's. We'll never know, but.
I mean,
I don't know.
You know, there's that thing. There was a rumor going around about the whole Mercedes knew they might be in trouble about the Hamilton pit lane cut.
Yeah.
So similar to Monza when they were the tire pressures thing, they knew they might be in trouble, so they just had to go for it. Who knows? Maybe they knew the gap, so they tried to get out a 5 second gap. In the end, it was 4.5. Bottas did enough to push Kimi out of that 5 second window, so they could still keep a 1-2. So if anything did happen, it'd still be a Mercedes.
Yeah,
1-2, so they
I
still get a
mean,
result. But all in all, I'm just saying, I think personally, Bottas had an opportunity. How close he got to him, you could see it for yourself. I feel like in the contract that was signed this week, there might have been something there. Considering the points gap there is now from Bottas to losing the championship, they might just say, you know what, we're past the halfway point of the season now, so from now on, for this season alone, we need you to take the orders.
I think
21 races.
but we'll put it this way: Bottas has got a better chance than Kimi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I think just straight out like without team orders, I think Bottas has the better chance to win a race outright anyway.
Yeah, but just the fact that Raikkonen gets screwed over more.
Yeah.
Like they will happily ruin his. Like as we've seen, they'll happily ruin him.
Like today,
And
for
then
example,
also-
I don't think Kimi got ruined on strategy at all. I don't think he didn't take an L on strategy because people were saying like, well, how come they pit him so early and they did all this? You know, say it was a dry race, it would have been a 2-stop.
No,
for
his
Kimi.
strategy worked too well. He was
Yeah,
like,
I thought if he was in the 2-stop, he would have been perfect because at the end of the day, he was going nowhere. He couldn't get near Bottas, and Verstappen wasn't pressing him, so he was always going to be third at best. He was not putting enough pressure on Valtteri. So at worst, you lose a place to Verstappen, but you've got the benefit of a 2-stop with the fresher tyres, and you can really put the pressure on at the end. So I thought it was worth the risk
Also,
because he was never going to get second. So
second part of Ram McPhee's question is, will the curse of Hungary finally be broken?
For Mercedes,
it got broken last year, didn't it?
no.
That makes no sense.
No, because
Well,
Vettel won last year.
Yeah, but the thing is, whoever wins at Hungary goes on to win the championship.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Isn't
go
it?
on
It
to win
doesn't.
The championship.
I could
Yeah.
have sworn it was the other
Because
way around.
Hamilton won in 2013, didn't win it. Vettel did not win in 2011. Button won that.
Yep.
And then for 2014, 15, 16, what was it? Ricardo? What was
Ricardo
it?
was
Rosberg?
2014.
What was 15?
2015 was Rosberg, I think. Oh no, Vettel.
Vettel.
2016
Yeah, 15
was-
15 was Vettel, and then 16 was
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yeah. So yeah, the
There
curse.
is a
there
curse
is a
if
curse.
you win it, you don't win the championship.
Well, to be fair, that does kind of make sense in the fact that if you think about it, Budapest is like Monaco. It's like the odd one out. But you know when Mercedes always say, yeah, we don't build our car for Monaco. They don't build it for Budapest. They build it for
Yeah.
the rest of the calendar. So you can see why there is a slight curse.
Slight curse, but at the same
on
time, it is
Budapest.
just a Ferrari track anyway, so I'm going to expect
I
them to
disagree.
be good.
Well, you think it's Red Bull, don't you?
Well, yeah. Because
Well, yeah,
you saw-
of
we
course it's a
forgetting
Red
Monaco
Bull
this year?
circuit. I'm talking about the top two teams that are actually relevant here.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Ouch,
But I'm
Red Bull
saying
not
I
relevant.
don't think.
Well, they're
I don't
not.
think. I don't think it's going to be a Ferrari whitewash. I think they're going to. I think especially because I think Ricciardo.
Oh no! In terms of the
start
race,
from the back.
in terms of the
Verstappen's
actual
gonna cause
three
trouble.
teams, Red Bull. Yeah, I'm just talking Ferrari v Merc.
Yeah,
Ferrari
yeah.
will have a better weekend next weekend. I feel.
Mercedes will be third best.
Well, they'll have a better car for the weekend. Whether they have a better weekend, that's up to them.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's always up to. Well, that's always the case in every race.
Let's hope for a bit of rain at Budapest, because whenever it rains at Budapest,
That would be
we
spicy.
Get,
That
we
would be
get it
spicy.
even more insane.
I prefer it in the next race, if I'm being totally honest with you.
No
Not Spa.
thanks. No thanks.
I don't know. I don't want to.
No
or do
thanks.
I?
Come
The
on.
problem is, if it rains at Spa, that means A, yes, we're going to have probably an amazing race. B, will be wet.
Oh wow, that's a big problem to have in August.
You know, but
I
when it
don't think you
rains, it gets
understand what
colder.
Spa is like.
Yeah,
But
it
anyway,
does
we
get
move on.
cold.
Look, we're digressing. Look, let's keep
Anyway,
this focused,
Hungary.
guys. We're losing focus at the end here, all right? So, next question is from, new guy in Patreon. So, Hair Brightside's going to ask, did anyone know? Okay, so, yeah, I didn't notice Alonso retired. Tom kind of cleared that up with the whole, he was 2 laps down, apparently.
Yes, your standard 1 lap early into the pit lane, save
yeah.
the engine.
All right,
malarkey.
so 09 Gutek has asked, any speculations regarding Gasly at the start going rather slowly, and is Toro Rosso really that poor now?
They were
I think,
shocking.
Yeah, I think it's
Shocking.
that classic Toro Rosso syndrome of every season they've started well and they just can't develop enough. Add on the Honda engine as well. That's now for the first time Gasly's admitted that it's giving them some niggles now. Yeah, I think they are just dropping off a little bit. Really unfortunate for them because they were looking so good at the start. Classic Toro Rosso, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Toro Rosso has like dropped to that point now, and it's a shame. But
Yeah.
again, like what we said in the last podcast, maybe they are being basically plateaued to be
Yeah.
ruined for the next.
Another question by
Remainder
her
of the
bright
season.
side about Ricardo. I think this is going to be a pretty easy one, but he's asking, can Ricardo go anywhere after
No.
this, after the failure? And there's no more questions for Ricardo. I'm pretty sure he's definitely signing with Red Bull.
I think he's
So-
signing with it before
He's staying.
Budapest.
He's
Probably.
staying, and I'll tell you something. I reckon we could potentially, if nothing changes in the next 2 weeks, we could potentially do a podcast talking about these driver transfers, because over this weekend,
There's been a
the
lot of
whole
midfield
thing-
rumours.
The whole thing went haywire, and I think it's worth talking about because there's some stuff in there that make no sense. So I think it's worth debating. You got your Sainz
The
to
whole-
McLaren, your
the-
Ocon to Force India.
The top guys may be quite boring, but the midfield, yeah, this season,
It's gone mad all of a sudden.
this weekend, surprisingly, just like shook up a little bit. So,
And
but
the
we'll
main
wait
one
and see,
is
because F1
lot-
has a thing about being very silly and they're not actually doing anything. So we'll see.
But there was a lot of traction, especially with the whole Leclerc Raikkonen swap potential.
Yeah. That's
Lots
why it's
of-
called
lots of
silly
things.
season, because it
Silly
never
season.
ends up happening. But we
Yeah,
like
I think,
a good speculation.
I think the last silly thing that happened was actually like the Sainz Renault swap deal thing. That was
Yeah,
the last
and that
big
happened.
silly thing that happened.
Yeah.
But because that's happened, I'm kind of like, oh, we've had our silliness for like the next 2 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then, well, that's not really a question. So we're gonna end it there then, I think. So we're gonna go to the Hungarian Grand Prix predictions then, because it is straight away next week. So pole position, guys. What are we thinking then, lads?
Sebastian Vettel.
Kevin, quite quick. Tom.
Yep.
Do you want to go with yours?
I'm gonna have to agree. Yeah, I'll go Vettel as well.
I will go with. I'm going to be different. Let's just say Verstappen.
You're
let's
always
go.
different.
Verstappen.
When are you
Let's
not
go.
different?
Pulls out of the bag. You know.
Yeah, all right,
Let's
mate,
go.
pipe down.
Orange team go. Right for the race then. What are we saying? Top 5 then.
I think
What we
Verstappen's
think?
taking the W.
Oh,
wow.
ooh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not getting a good feeling about
I'm-
Ferrari winning this race.
I'm going to go. I've got a top 5. I'm going to go with Sebastian Vettel wins the race. I'm going to go with. Verstappen second, Hamilton third, Raikkonen fourth, Bottas fifth.
Raikkonen
Oh,
always
God.
gets finessed.
Verstappen, Vettel, Raikkonen, Hamilton, Bottas.
I'll go Vettel, Verstappen, Raikkonen, Ricardo, Hamilton.
Ooh,
I'm going to say Mercedes take the big L.
big L.
But
the big
I
L.
was trying to weigh up whether or not Ferrari's tyre issues from this weekend are going to
that's
affect next
that's gonna be the
weekend.
question. Yeah, it's gonna be the
Because if
question.
this new flaw that they got at Silverstone and all these new things on the car, if it's now suddenly turned into a car that eats its tyres, which didn't eat its tyres that much. I mean, Vettel still did like 20, 30, however many laps.
It was,
on
but I mean,
softs.
it's the first time, so we'll
Yeah,
see. That's
but
again, it's the acid test of if
we
it
did
happens
we
again.
did see that, but still quite excited for Budapest because we
It's
still want to get a
critical.
critical race.
Vettel needs to win, and I mean, like today, for example, say if Hamilton had got penalised, it's 7 points he would have lost in the championship. It goes from 17 down to 10. There's a lot of the 7 point difference from first to second is massive. So even if Vettel wins and Hamilton comes second, he still gains 7 points back on him. It's massive. So
I think that'll be the
Vettel
closing
has to
statement.
win, and I think Arav, you said it right. He seemed to regroup very nicely again, similar to this
Yeah,
earlier
I'm
season
impressed
with
by it.
Verstappen at China, Baku.
I'm impressed.
He's got his head firmly screwed in his shoulders properly. So, as I tweeted after the race, the Tata race is closer than ever, and it's all about development race because Ferrari also tend to fade away. Will they this season? It's not showing signs to at the minute.
Well, we'll find out next time, and we'll catch you guys for the Hungarian Grand Prix review. I think we'll be without Cal for that one, so we'll bring in another substitute. But
yeah, sorry lads.
we will
That's the
see you then.
substitution.
We will see you then for that one. But if you have enjoyed this one, hit that like button. If you are new around here, do get subscribed to this channel for the podcast. You can check out these two links on the screen for their Twitters. And if you are also liking what we're doing around here, you can support us directly on Patreon. Like you just saw, we took some questions from Patreon, so you can ask your own in our Discord if you support us enough on Patreon, basically. And also, you can catch us on audio, but you guys know that. You guys have been smashing the SoundCloud and iTunes still, very much so. So thank you very much for that. Links below to those. And finally, if you do want to get a racing share and get a bit off, you can use the code PitLaneF1 for a GT Omega share. And yeah, that's going to be it. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully it's another stunning one. That'll be kind of nice. But till then, hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and goodbye.